Good afternoon, YouTube. This is man all the way George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bodybuilding Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, this is our episode 76. 76 episodes. I'm telling you, we're doing pretty good here. And we're this episode we will talk about one of the first Miss Olympias from Ukraine, and that is Valentina Chepiga. And my partner just came in, Jen, and so bring him in.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, brother. How you doing? Shout out to J M2021. Appreciate you, brother, because I know he's a fan of this because he said, "Oh, you're talking about my female bodybuilding crush back in the day in 2000s." Appreciate this topic, my friend. You are welcome, MJL, and also I love Valentina Chepiga, such a knockout in her prime. She had the most awesome posing routines. Her 2002 Miss Olympia routine was my favorite, absolutely mesmerizing and sensual. And again, it was weird that they had two Miss Olympias champion winners, one Valentina winning heavyweight and Drew winning lightweight. Yeah, that's always been to me the biggest kind of debate, how they could have just for many years you only had one Miss Olympia every year, but then in 2000s, they changed they added on weight classes because it was trying to save me about it. But 99 they almost didn't have a Miss Olympia because they didn't have a venue for it, but was able to save in the last minute, and they had two shows in that. You had Miss Olympia, also had, I think they had the another show. I'm trying to remember that show, and that was that was pretty good. So yeah. So again, my brother Marcus Bell coming through, smashing that like. Appreciate Marcus. And Brooke Burrell, Feel the Rage. So as you know, we're talking about Miss Valentina Chepiga, and she's been bodybuilder for quite a time. She started her career. She grew up in Ukraine. We were still under the hammer and sickle of Russia. And she did an interview where she talked about how bodybuilding was considered in her country a very inflammatory kind of a sport. For a good while, you see a lot of bodybuilders come out of anywhere near like Russia, Ukraine, even Romania, where Lena Popa was from. One of those countries they were under threat or rule of the USSR, the Russians. But in the last few years, you've seen a jump. You have the Taya Kostanova, the Taya Kovalova, Anastasia Kobalova, and Anastasia Leonova. Just growing women from that country, around that region. But Valentina, as you say, she started bodybuilding around about the 80s, and then she didn't start competing until I think about the late 80s, early 90s. If I'm correct, I got my hand up the key hand here who can give us some information.
Yeah, she started in 1988. So that's when she started her bodybuilding career. Was in 1988. She first competed in 1993, and sorry, my throat's killing me. Let me just get a lounger real quick.
Go ahead, get a lounger.
No, I got it right here.
Okay.
So she, well, I guess maybe a backstory first. She grew up in a place called Kharkiv. Now, as somebody who is a historian such as myself, I've always called it Kharkov because during World War II, there was not one, not two, but three different battles in that area. And they were all called the Battle of Kharkov, 1, 2, and 3. But that name is slightly misleading because that's the Russian pronouncing of that city's name. Although, to be fair, the majority of people in that city are actually Russian-speaking Ukrainians. which kind of goes against the whole idea of Russia invading Ukraine to begin with, because you're supposed to be greeted as liberators, except the hardest fighting you've faced so far has been in Kharkiv, which is a Russian-speaking majority, Russian-speaking Ukrainian majority city. You see what I'm saying? Kind of like doesn't really fit the narrative. But digress. She was born in Kharkiv, and she graduated from the College of Engineering and Building with a degree in gas heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. From 1979 until 1992, she worked as a technician and was promoted to engineering while working for the Bureau. So that's interesting. I've got an article here. She was a very vulnerable girl growing up and learned to hide many secrets at a very young age. Didn't like to share things with anybody. And she had an older sister but had no father. And being a single parent back in those days was regarded as immoral, so to speak.
Yeah.
There was many stereotypes, and one of them was no sex before marriage. So again, a very conservative upbringing, basically. Very, a different time period, to say the least. So yada yada yada. Like that. At the age of 16, she wanted to go into art school since she had a passion for art, but didn't know the deadline for applying for that particular school. She missed it by a few days when the test already started, so she didn't have the option to go to art school. She went into Human Resource Agency, and then eventually her career in technician. After 13 years, going from a technician to an engineer, and attending Kharkiv State Technical University of Construction and Architecture after work hours, she graduated in the summer of 1987. And this was around the time of perestroika and glasnost, which is the term for the opening up period from transitioning from socialism to capitalism in the USSR, which was happening under Gorbachev. She says that perestroika broke down lots of stereotypes and was personally a refreshing breath of fresh air. That's when the ban on bodybuilding was taking off. Back in the day, bodybuilding in the former USSR was basically an outlawed sport. It was considered narcissistic and self-indulgent. Basically, it was regarded as, kind of like, it was basically banned, because it was seen as immoral, pretty much, or, indulgent for whatever reason. So basically, after that, it, by like the 1980s, it wasn't banned anymore, so to speak. So this is interesting. This is a nice little caveat here that I didn't personally know. I didn't know that other cultures, especially back in the past, didn't um, uh, have the same views on these kinds of things as us. Because, as you know, female bodybuilding first started, I believe, in the United States, if memory serves correctly.
Yeah, because it started out. It was originally kind of like bikini originally. If people remember,
Yeah,
it started out like I think in the mid '70s, and then it transitioned. The rich women were in good condition, but they weren't at the level of muscles compared to women today. Then it transitions on later on when it was called the world's I think the world's best, and then the ladies kicked up the high heels, and then it started changing up. You got Ricky Lesh and Carla Dunlap and Corey Everson and you know Catherine Plato and can't forget Gladys Portuguese. There was a lot of ladies in that time that were legends, and with Valentina, and she competed. Started competing like I said in the '90s. She got her first Olympia qualification in '98, and that was a year when they went over and they had a show in Budapest. I think it was Hungary.
it
I think they
was
had it in
Prague,
Budapest. Prague.
Prague,
Okay,
Czech Republic.
okay, they had Prague, and that's where she made her first Olympia debut.
Yeah. Um, so it's interesting. She got into female bodybuilding right around the time female bodybuilding in Eastern Europe was basically starting to be allowed and kind of breaking out. This is, again, end of Iron Curtain, end of Cold War era. So she's able to compete now. Um, and we see a huge flood of people from like Eastern and Central Europe competing now. So in early 1988, she joined a gym. Um, it was an all-girls gym except for the trainer. Um, her trainer was very passionate about bodybuilding and trained for the first bodybuilding show in town. Um, she first, later that month, she watched the girls compete on the big stage, and she fell in love with the sport after that. After that, a trainer was looking for more girls to do more shows, and they noticed her and pointed out that she had potential. And she said she couldn't believe the prospect of it because she had very low self-esteem and so many insecurities. But eventually she got hooked. And eventually she started performing. And she was very well known for her performances on stage. Her poses are very legendary, as one commentator said. In fact, she went on to win her first show. Trying to look. Does it have a list of first shows?
Let me look for that. And she had like a look to her. Like she was very tall, she was blonde, she had great lines. She had the qualities I think that is popular in, I would say, physique compared to bodybuilding. I mean, she just, like I said, with this influx of these women from the Eastern Europe, because you had Germans, you had Hungarians, you had I think the Swedes and stuff from Slavic countries. These women brought a level of bodybuilding that it's not too seen. I mean, they brought a level of muscle, of looks, of style. I mean, and now, thanks to Valentina, you have a generation of women who are in the sport. like I mentioned, Alina Popa, the two Natalias, the two Anastasias. There was a Bridgetta Brezovic, who's from, I think she's from Slovenia, one of those countries. But
Yeah.
she was the the forebringer for these women that we're seeing now in bodybuilding. Oh, there goes my man, King Dale Clark. Hey, brother. Yeah, I appreciate you coming through and keep up the good work. And thank you, King Dale. Brother, we're talking about Valentina Chepiga, and if you remember her, she was the co Miss Olympia back in 2000. There was a big controversy about that. I felt like, why have two Miss Olympias? And this is where my debate was at. I think that the IFBB won the Olympia, for she was like, I think she was what the IFP wanted for Miss Olympia, and Judah was the Miss Olympia that the fans wanted. Both ladies were both amazing ladies, but I still feel like, this is my honest truth, and Judah should have won that show in 2000. I don't, it was just, to me. I mean, making a draw is kind of a slap in the face. Oh, can you make your thoughts on WWF and WE wrestlers' physiques? Are they any male or female wrestlers that you think could make it in bodybuilding? Well, I'll talk about that later in the cast. We talk about this. Subject is Valentina, but this craft. But you got to remember, there's been some wrestlers that were in the sport of bodybuilding. You
Yep.
know, John Cena. He was a bodybuilder. There's Trish Stratus. I remember Trish Stratus used to do a lot of the muscle mags and stuff. She was a model, and also I think she competed for a good bit. And who else I'm trying to think of? There was a couple others that I recognize. Now, China was never really a bodybuilder per se. She got into it because after being a victim of sexual abuse, she got to working out to build her body. But that's how it is. Yeah, yeah. Dave Batista also. Yeah, Batista. Yeah, and that's but like I say, China wasn't really per se a bodybuilder. She had a bodybuilder physique, but she never competed that I know of. I think she did bikini
No.
before she got larger. She did bikini competitions before she got larger. But I think she had a impressive physique. RP to China. So back where we're going to again.
Okay, so I did actually find she competed at the 1998 Ukrainian Championships, where she got first in middleweight and overall. Um, she would compete that feat again in 1997. Um, so she won her first bodybuilding competition, which is always pretty impressive. Um, um, so after that, so she won her first show. I'm just going over, making sure I don't skip anything. Yes. So that was after 6 months after a trainer found her to having potential. So 6 months afterwards, she wins her first show. Um, um, After that, she uh, she won the overall at the last USSR championship in 1991, where the USSR dissolved. She won third in the middleweight in 1993 in the European Championships. In 1994, she placed second at the European Championships middleweight. In 1994, the World Amateur Championships, she's got seventh middleweight, which she repeated in 1995. In 1997, she got first in middleweight in European Championships. She won that. After that, she she would go on to win the World Amateur Championships first, middleweight and overall, and that's when she would win her IFBB Pro title. Because that's kind of how it goes. You go from Europe. I don't really know how it kind of works, but you basically go from your nation, then you go to the European level, then you go to the international level, and this is all at the amateur level. And then after you win an international competition at the amateur level, you win your pro card. So yeah, she did. She was able to compete at the Miss Olympia in 1998, where she got 12th. Not the best performance, but then again, she was competing at the Miss Olympia, so.
Yeah. And you got to think about it. That time you had Kim Svetsky was your champion. You had Yolanda Hughes. You had a lot of ladies that were back there. Laura Craval, and even just getting 12th is depending who was behind you. Who was who's behind her in 12th. And you got to crack some ladies who were multiple time Olympia competitors back then, and this being your first Olympia. You're not always going to make the top 10, but if you get there, your first Olympia, that's pretty good.
Yep, definitely. So she didn't qualify her for another Miss Olympia because only the top 10 back in that time qualified for the Miss Olympia, as opposed to today, where only the top 3 do. After that, she started thinking of moving to the United States. She signed up for the 1999 Jantana and moved to the United States to Washington, Seattle. In 1999, she competed at the Jantana Classic, where she got 3rd. I believe that qualified her for the Miss Olympia, where she once again competed, and she also got her same placing at 12. So basically, when she was going into the Miss Olympia in 2000, she had placed 12th twice. She had, generally speaking, not even won a pro show. So, so let's see what happens when she goes into a pro show. Speaking of which, this is all from Sean Ray's article. I believe I posted. Most of this is from Sean Ray's article, right there. So I posted that. She describes her most embarrassing moment was the 1999 Miss Olympia.
Mm-hmm.
She faced a lot of challenges. She was very dependent on other people providing her food and transportation to the gym. Her diet wasn't on point. She ate lots of cheap meat, mostly turkey. I used to buy my meat and produce it at farm market straight from the farmers back in Ukraine. I was clueless about handling so much water. Yeah, basically she didn't really know what she's doing, basically. So basically she got a bad place, or basically last place, with 12th place. She started believing that she was done, and again, this is another good comeback story, because whenever you're in a movie, you're at last place, it looks like it's all over. What usually happens? You get your second round in. But Just before things looked completely hopeless, James Cook offered to do a video photo shoot for FTVvideo.com. She agreed to sign up for a show a few days after in LA to do shooting. That was the Jantana in 2000 again, only this time there was something called weight classes that came into effect. She went into that show a middle class. There was also middle class at the Jantana, but not at the Miss International or Miss Olympia competition. So it's a bit interesting in that perspective. Because of that, she won her weight class, but she didn't win the overall. Or was there an overall? I don't know. I'd have to look that up. But anyway, she won her weight class. That's all that matters. So the IFBB was trying out their weight classes. She got qualified for the Miss Olympia the third time. So she's completely down on her luck. She was at her lowest point prior to the photo shoot. She began working out like crazy. At the Miss Olympia, 2 weight classes were created. Her weight was exactly 135 pounds. That was the borderline to make it into a lightweight division. As she arrived the day before the show, she found out the weigh-ins would be held next day before prejudging. Now, this is very interesting. So she's going into this thinking she's going to be lightweight, that she'll be able to hit lightweight. But let's see what happens next. She couldn't maintain that body weight, so she started carving up. The next day, she was 135.5 pounds on the scale, which pushed her up into the heavyweight class. So now she's competing as a heavyweight. Her conditioning was on point and happy with the overall look. She went on stage and she was pretty confident. I do remember her from that show because I watched the 2000 footage of the Miss Olympia. I remember she was very on point, posed very well. And at that show, she won the Miss Olympia title, the heavyweight overall Miss Olympia title, and alongside the lightweight winner, Andrea
Blachette. Andrea Blachette. Yeah, Andrea's from England. And she was competing for a good while.
That's another one we have to do a video on her. So she's also pretty amazing too in her own right. They both shared shared the goal because there was no overall, and this gave her the status being a heavyweight as pretty much the de facto Miss Olympia overall title, pretty much. Because I mean, honestly, when you're the heavyweight, it was very hard to lose, except in one case in 2001, where Juliet Bergman beat Iris Kyle, which was a controversial decision to say the very least. Um, However, after she peaked, she wasn't able to defend her title. So after that, at the 2001 Miss Olympia, she competed as a heavyweight, but she only got fourth. Um, Irish Kyle edged her out at the top with Juliet Bergman taking the overall. She competed at the 2002 Miss International, where she got first in lightweight, which qualified her for the 2002 Miss Olympia, where she got second in lightweight. So she's still able to compete. Like, she's still in the competition for like the first few spots of the Miss Olympia. She's not like completely beaten out yet. But as time would go on, she would eventually gradually start, like over time, her placing would keep going down and down. So at the 2002 GNC Show of Strength, she got first in lightweight. This is the last show she'll be able to win as a pro, as a female bodybuilder. At the 2003 Miss International, she got fifth in lightweight. 2004 Miss Olympia, she got eighth in lightweight, and after that, lightweight division was abolished, so her placing now changed, and she competed. Oh, by the way, she since she won a Miss Olympia title, any person who wins a Miss Olympia title can compete at any Miss Olympia after that. I believe that's one of the rules. So the very last time she competes is 2007, where she competes 11th. She gets 11th at the Miss Olympia. And after that, she retires from female bodybuilding. But that's the but.
That's the butt. That's the big butt.
She makes a comeback in women's physique. In 2013, she starts competing as a women's physique pro at the Titans Grand Prix, where she gets 10th. In 2014, she competes at the Emerald Cup Pro, where she gets 11th. 2016, she competes at the Arctic Pro, where she gets 7th. Oh, no, she competes, 2016, she competes at the Miss International, where she did not place with physique. And very last but not least, 2016, the Arctic Pro, where she placed 7th in physique.
Yeah.
So much like Kim Chevesky, she would go on after her Miss Olympia win to try to compete in another division, but with the same lackluster kind of results, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like I say, I think, if she did physique, maybe if physique half was around, 10 years ago, she probably would have done pretty good. I think she would have done a lot better. Around the time when they was transitioning, when they got rid of the weight classes in women's bodybuilding, and physique comes to like about 6 or 7 years after that, and she would have probably done better if she you know, was in that division early, you know, and that probably would have, she would have done great. But also, I saw she did an interview with Alina Popa on the Flex Film Fridays, and she talked about how when she was married, her husband didn't really support her being a bodybuilder because she was married for a good time, and then I think a few years later got divorced. And during that time when she was Miss Olympia, she was, because back then I think the prize money was, I forgot what the prize money was at. I think it was around about 25,000. Used to be back in the day, Miss Olympia the prize money was pretty good. You got a good chunk of change. But I think because that was around the time when they were they were just trying to find a way to keep women's bodybuilding active, whichever form you could, and that was the was pretty much the guidelines of for financial for financial concern for these ladies. But
Yep.
you know uh she was one of these ladies that just she had a look to her, great physique, you know um she was just the I think she was the precursor of what they wanted to see in women's bodybuilding today. That she really was the blueprint for women's physique if you look at her and a couple other ladies from back in that time.
Yeah.
And yeah. And you know this is the thing is when they decided to instead of just either picking her or Andrula, they could have just if they could. I think if they settled on the Miss Olympia, that probably would have been it. But I think that probably that situation was just I don't know. To me, it's always been a mess. But I was doing some research on her, and she was about a few years ago. She went through about a cancer,
Yeah.
and yeah, because I know you sent it to me about the thing I saw it, and she had I think it was around about maybe she gets diagnosed around about 2017, maybe 2018. She went through chemotherapy. There's also a GoFundMe. The GoFundMe's still up. I don't know if it's taking any money or not. If anybody's interested, I'll post it in the comment section. So, she might have got them her money, but I don't know how. Sometimes these GoFundMe last for a certain amount of time, especially how much money she was looking for. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes after a while, they're closing down if you already got your money out of it. And
Yeah.
from some information, she's living here in the States. She
Yes. Alaska, I believe.
yeah, she lives in
If
Anchorage.
memories. Yes.
Yeah, and like a lot of bodybuilders, you you really if you want to really make a success, you have to come to America. You really have to come to America. This is where the shows are. This is from I also see in the comment sections. My man JM 2021. How is Valentina now? Valentina is going to be 60 in next month. So you know, I've seen some pictures of her, and even for a woman 60, you wouldn't think she's 60. You might think
Yeah.
maybe uh, late 40s, early 50s at the most, because that's the thing is, the healthy lifestyle of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Uh,
And, yeah, and just because somebody has cancer doesn't mean that they're going to be sickly or something like that.
mhm,
I mean, I've had family members that have cancer and they lived for,
yeah,
like, I think my aunt still has cancer. But my grandmother also had cancer, I believe, and she lived, what, until she was like 97 or something? You can live with this stuff for a very, very, very long time, to say the least. She looked pretty healthy from when I looked up. Yeah. Um, I guess the only other thing I can really add to her is, yeah, in 2000, she definitely had a very good look to her. She's a lot more. I think 2000 Valentina is probably my favorite of her, posing wise. She's got like that look with her breast and everything else. That's really it's a sex appeal basically. That's what she's got. She's got a good sex appeal to her, um, especially in 2000. Say the least. And that's really all I can add to that. Other than that, you have any other final thoughts or anything like that?
Well, like I said, I'm looking at the comment sections. You know, well, I'm hearing from these guys that have some debates how they feel about what you think about women who detest female bodybuilders that don't like them at all. It's jealousy or envy. I won't say it's jealousy, envy so much, King Dale. I think it's more of ignorance. People don't know how these women live. They see them as something totally different. When we see something that change your mentality of how a certain person should be, it's kind of shock with some people. But these women are who have a passion and a love for this sport. Respect them for that. And plus, it's like JM says, yeah, there's a lot of judgmental, because of zero knowledge, and there's there's just some people just don't like the idea of women with muscle. And here again, JM, he's the concept of men who are jealous and envious of female bodybuilders because the women athletes tend to be stronger, and better shape than them. So the men criticize them. Now, I will say that female bodybuilders as strong as a male bodybuilder. Truthfully, bodybuilders don't, they're not as strong as you think they are sometimes. As they're not lifting for strength. They're lifting for presentation and look. There's some strength factors to bodybuilding, but some of the strongest people are some of these strong competitors. I got an interview coming up in a few days with a lady named Rita West. She is a former power lifter, and we might talk about that, how the difference between strength between a power lifter and a female and a bodybuilder. And
Well,
here's those.
they do have strength. I will give them that. They I've been again. I've met female bodybuilders. I have. They can crack their bones and everything else as they're showing off their biceps and everything else. They have strength. It's just for the show that they're competing in. They're not. They're not doing it for strength wise. They're doing it for aesthetics. When they go on stage, they're at their weakest. But when they're not competing, but they still have a relatively the same physique or keeping it up for the most part, they do still have a considerable amount of strength, to say the least. They can bench like 400 pounds or something like that, some crazy amount.
Yeah, JM again. There's a lot of past women's bodybuilders competitors switched from bodybuilding to women's physique. Yeah, I know my dear late friend Miss Rondalee Charisma. She was a bodybuilder for a good part of the '90s. Then she competed as physique in the mid 2000s. Rest in peace to her. She did all right with it. I think that was probably a good division for her. Some ladies who come out of retirement. It was this one lady who I did an interview right back, Miss Jennifer Seda, and I mentioned to her why she didn't do women's physique, because by then women's physique was around already for a couple of years, and she said that she was thinking about it, but then she said she wanted to live her life, and respect that. There's also some ladies who I follow who I say that what, they could come back and they could do women's physique, and that probably would be a great division for them, because some of them were a little smaller. You compete with so much of the bigger women, and that's the thing. Colette Nelson was an open women's bodybuilder that then she transitioned over to women's physique. Yeah, Colette Nelson, she was, she had a great look to her, and I think that was probably a better division for her, because she didn't have she had a good amount of muscle, but not a lot for women's bodybuilding level. She was probably would have been a better division for her. Alina Popa could have been the next Miss Olympia champion since Iris retired. Announced her retirement in 2014. Well, one thing like that, JM, you got to remember in 2014, right after that last Miss Olympia, she was still competing. She, as we all know, the IFBB dropped Miss Olympia from the Olympia lineup. This is how I say like this: Alina could have been Miss Olympia that year, and they could have, kept on Miss Olympia because they got a new Olympia. They, even though Iris was Miss Olympia, there were some people inside the IFBB didn't like Iris. They felt Iris didn't have the look, or she was too muscular. She was pushing the edge. And if they wanted to, because like I said, with judges, they could have said, "Hey, Alina, get the Miss Olympia," and they got the Miss Olympia they wanted. But these judges went with Iris, and I think that was the reason why. I think if the judges had went with Alina, I think they would have still had Miss Olympia going, because she'd be the Miss Olympia they wanted, over Iris, who was Miss Olympia that they had, kind of like
I don't know. I think they were just coming up with whatever. I think they were just trying to come up with whatever excuse they could to cut it, but that's just me to say the least. I think overall this was a pretty good stream to say the least. I think we covered pretty much everything that needed to be covered. What do you think?
Yes, I think he said JM says very feminine and beautiful she is. And who are you talking about? You talking about Valentina? JM? I think I think he's talking about yeah, because there's quite a few ladies back then that you can't just not forget Van. You can't forget there was Diane Dennis. Not Diane Dennis. No, I mean I'm talking about Diane Massino. Niece Massino, and I think there was like Drula. God, so many back in the 90s. I'm trying to remember, but there were some women who had a look to them, very feminine. They weren't overly as muscular, or as compared to some others. But now I think there's a look that's I think is being pushed. They want to. I think the IFBB women's strength. They want women bodybuilding to go back to, like I would say, the Linda Murray era, Kim Savetsky era, before Kim got really huge in her last Miss Olympia. That's what they want to go with. But that's what physique supposed to be. It's supposed to be that look of that era. But we know now that physique is getting to that of almost. There's a debate that maybe they should cut out physique. But the problem is, some women are going to struggle in women's bodybuilding, and some women are too small to go up to that next level. Like I remember I did an interview with Miss Sue Price. She said she wants to go up to that next level because that was too much weight for her. And the thing she had to do to get there, she wasn't really sacrificed for her femininity over that. And I respect that, But it's the thing about being a competitor. You have to really, go home or go hard or go home. That's how you have to do it.
All right. That's good. That's good. I think overall we covered a lot of stuff. The only other thing I want to cover before we end today's stream, because I think this is a good, healthy discussion. Fitnessvids.co.uk. They have a lot of good videos on that site. I was watching some videos of Andrea Shaw, and they got some really good shots at her, especially in 2022. Just did recent photo session with her, so I'm posting the link for you here.
All right,
you can buy the videos. There's the HD, and then there's the 4K version. I don't know what. I guess the HD is just the better version of that. But I don't know myself. But yeah, she is amazing, like always, because she's Andrea Shaw. I mean, what else can I say? So I will catch you later, my friend. I'm gonna go finish up this dinner I got here. And you enjoy your weekend. I'm glad we had this discussion. And peace out, everybody. Have a good one.
All right, see you later. And thank y'all. Thank you for my partner, the hand of the king. I mean, hand of the emperor, coming through. And I really appreciate y'all for coming by. King Dale, coming through. Also, JM 2021, my brother Marcus Bell, Thank you for supporting our channel, our live stream, Muscle Talk 76, and we're talking about the first and only Ukrainian Miss Olympia, Valentina Chepiga. Like I say, if you have a subject you want to talk about, put it in the description. You can put it in the comments and let me know. We love talking about these ladies in the sport of bodybuilding. The thing is, we're right now we have nothing else to talk about, as we know we're still waiting on the start of the official start of women's bodybuilding season. The New York Pro is coming up I think in a couple of months. It's coming in May. There's also a show which is Indiana, the Indy Pro, which a lady who I've been fond of, and we have been acquainted with, Miss Jada Beverly. She's competing in that show. Also Stephanie Fletcher and a couple of other ladies. I saw that they posted some of the ladies on the pictures on the cover for the upcoming show, and congratulations to both those ladies. Like I said, Valentina, she's doing all right. She's one of the legends that we need respect. I wasn't too big a fan of her back in the day, but now as I know, I'm doing this content, and I'm learning a lot about sport of bodybuilding for the people I'm talking to in my interviews. I'm getting an education. But like I said, I appreciate you people who support these ladies, who respect their commitment and passion for the sport. And here's a rule I keep telling you guys. When you reach out to these ladies, be genuine. Don't be some freaky weird guy. Don't send them some, stuff that, it's not very healthy, in other words, like I said, no D pics, because sometimes that's sexual harassment for fellas on the internet. And I think these ladies get enough with people, downgrading because they are in the sport, is bodybuilding, and their physiques. They don't need it from you guys who supposed to be fans. You got to be respectful. So when you reach out to these ladies, be genuine in your concerns. And also these ladies who are coming up. Be a person who really, if you're a person who's out there who wants to, sponsor a female bodybuilder, because it's expensive. Bodybuilding is a hobby sport that costs some good amount of money. And and if you're somebody who has the means and the ways to help them out, reach out to them. Be genuine. You want to hear an athlete grow in the next level in this sport. So Valentina, good afternoon to Lawrence Perkins, brother. You missed the stream. You can watch it later if you like to. And JM said Valentina. Yeah, I want to ask the question. But I really like to thank y'all coming through. Jay, Lawrence, King Dale, my man Marcus Bell, all y'all who support this channel and support this live stream. Still again, women bodybuilders, they need a lot of attention and support for what they do in this sport. They don't get as much as they do compared to men. And people always use the excuse, Denise had a exotic feminine look to her. Yeah, she did too. Yeah. Because she had that, I did a flexible sex appeal video about Denise with another competitor by the name of Michelle Cannon. You can check it out if you follow my channel. You can watch it. I just put out a new one with a couple of amateurs. And like I said, again, I got a couple of interviews coming this week. Tomorrow, I got to talk to a lady from across the border, one Miss Gabby Vega. She is from Mexico, and we've been Facebook friends for a long time. Also, I got an interview the day after that with Miss Rita West, who is a bodybuilder, also a power lifter. So, I get to ask questions about that sport too, because, I'm curious. But like I said, I appreciate you and all for coming through. And like I said, if you missed it, watch it again, get your thoughts, make your comments, share, like, comment, subscribe, subscribe to me, subscribe to my boy Jen, and support women in the sport of bodybuilding, be it women's physique, women's figure, women's fitness, open, all these ladies are just amazing athletes. You might have your favorite division, you might not have your favorite division, but you got to respect what these ladies do. So anyway, thank you again to Lawrence, JM, King Dale Clark, and my partner Jen. And this is your man, all the way George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bodybuilding Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Like, subscribe, don't like, subscribe. I'm out.